What up, it's Warchief, and today I'm going to talk about experimenting with loops and samples. And I'm going to give you some examples of how I've been experimenting with loops and samples. And it's really interesting because you can take mainly loops and turn them into something completely different and put it in your song, and nobody would ever know. So that's what we're going to talk about, and I'm going to show you a couple things. So let's get right into it. Right here, we're inside Bitwig. I'm going to play the loop. You probably heard it. I've played this before on one of my videos. But this loop right here is, I really like it because it's like Skrillex type dubstep loop. It's made from Somatics. But anyways, this is the loop. So it sounds really, really cool. I took this and I was like, man, how can I make this different? And you always got to think of like, what can I change to make this different? You could change a lot of it. So what I did was right here, I made this whole thing. I got different drums. It's all set to 150 BPM, but I'll show you other examples of different BPMs over here later. So let's talk about this one. You did a lot on this one. I actually added reverb, used tremolo, automation for the tremolo right here. So the way this happened was I took this, I right clicked in Bitwig, and you can scale it up 200%. So that's what I did. I scaled it up 200%, and I got this really long glitchy sounding effect. So it takes it from 150 BPM to 300 BPM because it's doubling it, and it sounds like this. So I took that and I was like, man, there's a lot of interesting sounds in there. So I pretty much chopped it all up. I took the knife tool and I was like, let's just chop it up into pieces. Then from there, I organized them in a way that sounded the best to me. And there's no sidechain, or it's not EQ'd or anything. So don't be like, yeah, that kind of sucks. It could get better. This is just a quick example. And I used different drums, these drip drums from Somatics. And then I use this like percussion. Sounds really cool. And then I just added what I made right here in the sub. And then this is what I came up with when I cut it all up. And I added some reverb and tremolo. And the reverb I used was ROM. I love ROM. It's awesome. So I'll let you listen to it. So you're like, man, that sounds weird. It sounds really weird without drums and the percussion, but it sounds really cool. Listen to this. Sounds wild, completely different from the original. And I kind of murdered the original right here, didn't I? Let's make this go back to the original. So original sounds like this. And then I turned it into something completely different. So then I was thinking, man, what else can I do with this? So I was like, let's try different BPM. But before I did that, I actually went to try different BPM, and I picked these 120 drums right here. And they're just like normal, like housey type drums. But they're really fast because it's the BPM set to 150, and the drums were actually made in 120 BPM. But it sounds really cool. And I just, instead of doing, I kept everything right here, but I consolidated it and turned it down to 150 BPM, or I think 75 BPM. And it sounds like this. I'll just solo this, and it sounds like this. It sounds so weird, but it actually sounds good. It actually fits. I don't know how, but I just kept messing with it. It just sounds cool. And then I was like, okay, let's actually go to 120 BPM. So I actually set it to 120 BPM, but I took this, what I had right here, and I scaled it down to this. Scaled it down twice. It's actually at 8 18.75. That's the tempo. That's the BPM. That is really, really, I guess, odd. It's just odd, but this is what it sounds like. And I have this plugin called the Drip. It's a Kyle Beats plugin, and I just added a lo-fi preset to it. I'll just play this. And I know what you're saying. You're like, that sounds like shit. Yeah, I know it does sound like shit, but it sounds like some cool shit, because listen to this. It sounds so good. It sounds weird, but it sounds really, really good. Okay, then I was like, okay, let's go to 110 BPM. So I found these drums that were 110. They're like trap drums. And if you notice, I kept the percussion loop for every single one, and I didn't mess with it. I just kept it. There's no effects, no EQ, nothing. I just dropped it in there and used it, and it just gave it a good sound. So then I was like, okay, what can I do with 110? So I took this loop, but it wasn't that small. It was its normal length to 75 BPM, and all I did was reversed it and added a couple effects. I added ROM. I thought I added tremolo. Oh, I added tremolo, and then I couldn't get it to sound well. That's the whole thing. It's experimenting. You just got to keep experimenting, and you'll finally get somewhere, or you'll learn new things. So I just experimented with it, and I put this ROM on. I found a preset that I liked, real spacey, and I reversed it, and it sounds like this. And I know every time I messed with it, I was like, man, I'm not getting anywhere. This sounds like poop. And then when I would add drums and the percussion, everything just came together, and it sounded so good. And that's the thing. You can turn this little thing right here, this loop, into some shit. But then you get some gold when you add drums and percussion to it. It's just so awesome. And yeah, I hope this encourages you to go out there and experiment with some loops and samples and make weird stuff out of other things. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked the video, leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe. Yeah, comment down telling me what you thought about this. Did it spark an idea? Did you get some inspiration? Are you going to go and make some wild stuff? You can take other songs. I know like Kenny Beats does this. He takes other tracks and makes beats over it, and he makes music like that too, just resampling and stuff like that. But experimenting is the best practice in my eyes if you're not understanding like sound design, because this could help you do sound design in an odd way. It helps me. I don't know, but if it helped you, let me know. Peace. Be safe. Bye.